There's a kind of quiet that comes at this age that I don't think younger people can understand yet. It's not peaceful, not exactly. It's the quiet of a house where everything has already happened. My name is Howard Callum. I'm 89 years old, and I've been sitting in this chair for about 20 minutes now, trying to figure out how to start saying what I've needed to say for a long time. I don't know who will hear this. Maybe nobody. Maybe that's all right. I'm not doing this because I want to be remembered. I'm doing this because I've been carrying something, and I think the carrying is almost done. I was married for 51 years. Her name was Ruth. She passed 4 years ago, in the spring, on a Tuesday morning when the light was coming through the kitchen window the way she always said she liked it. Soft, yellow, the kind that doesn't demand anything from you. I was in the room, I was holding her hand, and even then, even in that moment, I was somewhere else in my mind. I've thought about that a lot since. We met in 1959. I was working at my uncle's hardware store in a small town in Ohio that most people have never heard of and never will. She came in asking for a specific kind of hinge, a cabinet hinge. She knew exactly what she wanted, and she was frustrated that I didn't know where it was. I remember thinking she was the most certain person I had ever seen. I was 22. I thought certainty was something you either had or you didn't. I thought Ruth had it. I spent the next 50 years thinking she had enough for both of us. We built a life. A real one, not a glamorous one. 3 children, a house with a leaking gutter I kept meaning to fix, vacations that were mostly just drives to see her sister in Pennsylvania, Sunday dinners, disagreements about money that would rise and fall like weather. A life, and I was in it. I was present, physically. I showed up, I worked, I came home. But there's a difference between being present and being there. I didn't understand that difference until it was the only thing I could think about. Our oldest, Michael, stopped calling regularly sometime around when he turned 40. I noticed. I didn't say anything. Ruth noticed too. I could tell by the way she'd pause after checking the phone. Just a half second, like she was swallowing something. We never talked about it, not really. I told myself it was normal. Sons get busy, life moves, it wasn't personal. But one evening, maybe 3 years before Ruth passed, Michael came for a visit, just overnight, and we were sitting at the table after dinner, and there was this silence, and I looked at him and I thought, I don't know what's inside this man's life. Not because he hid it, because I never asked. 50-some years of fatherhood, and I realized, sitting at my own dinner table, that I had always waited for my children to bring things to me. I thought that was respect, giving them space, not prying. I think now it might have just been distance wearing the clothes of patience. Ruth used to say I was a good listener. I think she was being kind. I think what she meant was that I didn't interrupt. There's a difference. I want to tell you about a specific night. It was winter. Our youngest, Clara, was maybe 16. She came downstairs late, past midnight, and I was still up, reading. She sat across from me, and she had that look young people get when they're working up to something. And I waited, and she started to say something real. I could feel it coming. And the phone rang. It was my brother, a small thing, nothing urgent. I was on the call maybe 4 minutes. When I came back to the living room, Clara was gone. She'd gone back upstairs. And I turned off the light and I went to bed. I didn't think about it again for years. Then one day I did, and I couldn't stop. Clara lives in Oregon now. She has 2 kids of her own. We talk, but it's the kind of talking that stays near the surface. How are you? The weather, the children's school things. I love her. I know she loves me. But I've wondered, more times than I can count, what she was going to say that night. I've never asked. I think I'm afraid of what the answer might be. Or worse, that she doesn't remember, that the moment passed so quickly for her that it left no mark at all. And yet it left one on me. Funny how that works. Ruth and I had a fight once. I say once, but I mean one that mattered, one that didn't fully heal, about a job I was offered when the children were small. A company in Michigan, better money, a real step forward. I wanted to take it. Ruth didn't want to uproot the children. She had her reasons, and they were good reasons. She was right about more things than I ever told her. We argued for 3 weeks, quietly, the way you argue when there are children in the house, low voices, tight jaws, long silences at dinner. I didn't take the job, and I never fully let it go. Not the job itself. I stopped caring about the job within a year. But something else, some small resentment that I kept in a drawer somewhere inside me, and every now and then I'd open that drawer, just for a moment, just long enough to remember it was there. I don't know if Ruth knew. I think she did. She was perceptive in ways she never announced. Near the end, when she was in and out, when the days started blurring for her, she held my hand one afternoon, and she said very quietly, "You stayed." I didn't know what to say, so I just squeezed her hand. I've thought about those 2 words every day since. I still don't know if she meant it as comfort or something else, something more complicated, something she'd been holding, too. I think the thing I've come to understand, not as a lesson, I'm not trying to teach anything, I don't have the right, but just as something I now know, the way you know a weight you've been carrying so long you forgot it wasn't part of your body, is that I spent most of my life waiting to feel ready, ready to have the hard conversation, ready to go deeper, ready to ask the real question. And I don't think I knew I was waiting. That's the part that's difficult to sit with. I thought I was being steady, stable, a provider, a man who didn't make things complicated. I thought that was a kind of love. Maybe it was. Maybe it was also a kind of leaving, done so slowly that nobody noticed, including me. Michael called last month. We talked for almost an hour. Longest we've talked in years. He told me about his work, his daughter's school play, some problem he was having with a neighbor. And at one point he said something, almost offhand. He said, "I never really knew how to talk to you when I was young." And I said, "I know." And he got quiet, and I got quiet. And that was all. But it was something. At 89, something is not nothing. I keep a photograph of Ruth on the table beside this chair. It's from 1974. She's laughing at something outside the frame. You can't see her eyes. I picked that photograph out of hundreds. I'm still not entirely sure why. Maybe because it's the most honest one. She's not posing. She's not performing anything. She's just there, in a moment, fully. The way I wish I had been more often, the way I think about now when the house is quiet and the light comes through the window the way it did that Tuesday morning. I don't have a tidy ending to offer you. I'm not sure real life comes with those. Ruth is gone, my children are living their lives, and I love them, and there is distance between us that I made and they made and time made. And it is what it is. That's not defeat. That's just the shape of things. I still talk to Michael. I still talk to Clara. Last week, Clara sent me a photograph of her youngest making a mess of a birthday cake. Just a regular photograph, the kind that doesn't mean anything and means everything. I put it on the refrigerator. Some mornings I sit here before the house wakes up. Not that there's much to wake up. It's just me and a cat I inherited from my neighbor when she passed, and I think about all the versions of conversations that never happened. Not with regret, exactly. More like inventory. The way you'd go through an old house before you leave it, opening drawers, acknowledging things. I did that. I didn't do that. That room stayed closed. If I could go back, and I know that's a meaningless thing to say because you can't, but if I could, I don't think I'd do anything dramatic. I wouldn't give speeches or confess anything. I'm not sure confessions are even the point. I think I'd just ask more questions. I'd sit across from my son when he was 15, and I'd ask him what was in his head. I'd put the phone down that winter night, and I'd look at Clara, and I'd just say, "Go ahead." I'd look at Ruth sometime in those middle years when we were both just trying to get through the week, and I'd ask her how she was. Not how are things, how are you? She would have told me. I know she would have. She was waiting for me to ask. I think a lot of people are waiting for someone to ask. I'm 89 years old, and I'm still learning the difference between being in a room and being present in it. That might sound sad. I think it just sounds true. I don't know how many mornings I have left. The doctors have their opinions. My body has its own. I try not to negotiate between them too much. But I wanted to say this, whatever this was. I wanted to say it out loud to someone, even if that someone is just a camera in a quiet room. Ruth used to say the things we don't say out loud don't disappear. They just find other places to live. I believe her. I believed most things she said eventually, usually a little too late, but eventually. If something in this sat with you, if some part of this felt familiar in a way you weren't expecting, you don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything. Just sit with it if you want to. That's all I've been doing. It's not nothing.